So, it's a couple things here. You're talking about oil and gas and conforming and all that being a female, right? And all these challenges, right? Being faced with. You're talking about an industry that male driven or typically male, they act a certain way, certain role, look a certain way. You talk about your self-expression and how it makes you feel, right? By not conforming. And hey, I like my hair bright. Makes you feel good. I mean, who doesn't like to feel good about themselves, right? You mentioned the tattoos. All things that I think as society, we've always looked negative at, right? On a lot of different things, aspects. We could talk about piercings, we could talk about hair color, we could talk about tattoos. But more and more, I think we were seeing how much more common these things are, more acceptable we were of these things. Maybe less stereotyping going on, right? As a society, as we're becoming more accepting of things. Who doesn't, you're talking about the small tattoo on the foot or on the ankle or this. And obviously I can see clearly, right? You've got pretty much a good sleeve going on, it looks like from here, right? Have you noticed even once again, you can say, hey, I'm Desiree, this is me, accept it or don't, that's on them. Do you feel that as a society, and you've noticed in the society probably the past 5 to 10 years, how that shift has been taking place? That it's not just Desiree, but a lot more self-expression and accepting of that.
It is. It has shifted quite a bit, but it's still nowhere close to where it needs to be. And I start that with actually looking. When I start, this is my fiddle toy, by the way, anyways, I realize I'm holding my little Lego fidget toy. So I start that conversation, like it is changing. We can see it, especially in our industry. You see a lot more people covered in tattoos. Like I don't go to events and I'm the only person covered in tattoos anymore. I don't go to events and be the only person with my hair colored brightly. There are people, but the way I say that it's not shifting as quickly as it needs to be, I'm going to go back to like your minimum wage, like McDonald's, your Starbucks. Even though I love my hair color, one of the more and like tattoos and great, and for me, yes, I love it because it does good for me, but it's also a lot to do with the fact that I often will be at McDonald's I'm not that often at McDonald's, but like enough or Starbucks, like you're at the lobby hotel and you're going to Starbucks and I'll get these young people who'll stop me and be like, oh my God, I love your hair. I want my hair, but I'm not allowed. So we're saying to these people that they are not allowed to work at Starbucks and have their hair brightly colored because the coffee isn't going to be as good, because the customer service isn't going to be as good. That doesn't make sense either. Because a person is a person. You're hiring a person, not like, hopefully you're not hiring someone who's cranky and hates life to do customer service. Their hair color shouldn't matter. So then the perception of the people. So a person who doesn't believe someone should have colored hair and tattoos showing now is the person who decides that I can only get coffee from someone who looks like me. Otherwise, then I'm not going to. Like, do you see where that's broken? Yeah, just don't, it doesn't make any sense that we are telling people that their voices matter, their uniqueness and who they are and their thoughts matter, but only if they look like the person who is what's the profile of the person who buys coffee from them. So McDonald's, you're not allowed to look unique to work at McDonald's because the people who eat McDonald's are going to judge you, not like the
food quality or the service.
Yeah, like the customer service is going to be worse. Yeah. But if you have pink hair, it's what? Or blue hair or facial piercings or however you want to look. Like, I do understand that there's a pendulum, and there of course is. I'm the person who would have pendulum and would have shown, like I said, shown up at work in sweatpants. Like, I get it. I do understand it. But when there's boundaries to be pushed and I don't even have anything, I'm going to push against it. But when you start there and you realize that it isn't like the first jobs, the jobs that people start in, they're told that society will not respect them and they are not allowed to look a certain way. And because society will only see value and want to work in customer service with them if they look like the rest of society, it just seems broken to me.
Yeah, sure. No, it sounds broken to me as we talk about it. And we think about things that I know that we have these corporate standards, right? And we want to have this image and it be portrayed in a certain way, or you're appealing to the masses, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to say masses because I'm sure as a percentage, there's more people with your typical blonde, black, brown, whatever hair than bright pink hair, right? So, I mean, they appeal to the masses and know that, but then we're excluding those others, right? And yes, at what point is it corporate standard versus being, hey, it's not going to impact our service. It doesn't change how that burger tastes or how it's made, and get rid of some of that stigma that we have behind people looking maybe different, what we considered the norm, right? What they considered normal. Look at tattoos. I see it as a big thing, right? It used to be, hey, they had to be covered. You can't see them. You didn't wear long sleeves. Nothing. You can't have that at all. And then we said, your industrial events are more and more different industries. You see it more than more. Every day it's like it's become more of the norm. And I'm probably the abnorm anymore. It feels like because I don't have anything, right? I'm plain vanilla.
Yeah. Like, we're talking about this problem in like really small, like we're talking about this as still me being like, I'm talking about pink hair and tattoos.
Yeah.
But the problem is so drastically bigger. And I'm just even talking about my experience. And this is like the general, there's conversations that I've had where this is a lovely woman of color who was told that she couldn't wear braids because people wouldn't take her seriously and people felt intimidated by her. And so like the conversation that you have to fit in a box to be successful. You have to fit in a box. You have to look like everybody else. Those boxes can be very small depending on where you are, and they can change quite drastically. So you're saying to a person who might live in an area who they are the only colored person, and now they have to look like everybody else to be successful. Like, it's such a bigger problem when we bring in, like, many cultures. Like, there's many cultures out there that don't look the same. And so I'm only talking from my experiences, but it's such a big conversation to me because I am not the only person who looks different than everybody else. There is many, many people who aren't fit in a box of what society has decided is the okay thing to look like in order to be successful. And until we have these conversations and there's so many more conversations to it, but until we start looking at people and being like, the way you look has nothing to do with your ability to be successful, your ability to work in customer service, your ability to present yourself, the ability for you to be able to speak, to use your brain and to be valuable to other businesses or society in general. I just don't see how we can even get to the next point to talk about, we talk about the diversity and inclusion conversation. Well, what does that look like? Inclusion. Well, if nobody ever has to look a certain way, aren't we getting one step closer to that? And that their value is based on their thoughts and what they have to say. And we stop telling people, like, there's even conversations where people are told in the C-suite that if you don't have the expensive purse in the C-suite, you are not accepted by your peers. If you get to a certain level and you're driving a crappy car, you're not accepted. Like, we put so many boundaries on you're not accepted based on things that are just dumb.
Yeah, dumb, for sure. For sure. And I think back, and I'm just going to think back, and I know this is before my time, But I look back to this is back to the 50s and 60s. Okay. And you talk about being in business and careers, where even you talk about business attire, what was considered normal to go to work in, right?
Yep.
Pants, and it was pants and dress pants, shoes, dress shoes, shirt, tie, jacket. I mean, that was normal everyday garb, right? That was just what was socially accepted as that's how you dress. And I know that's shifted, obviously, over the decades and there's the generations, and I think the same thing as we see with we talk about the appearance, right? The hair, the tattoos, piercings, those things. Obviously, no way that would even long hair. So let's talk about long hair back, and it's unacceptable for a dude to have long hair. Obviously, today it's widely more acceptable, right?
So it is shifting. You're right? You're not right. I'm so excited to see what happens in 10, 15, 20 years from now. I'm excited for this younger generation who is saying no to a lot of things. And they are saying that it's not worth me changing my entire life to work for minimum wage at a company. I'm going to try to figure out a way to make money or to support myself, or I'm going to spend my entire life living at this lower level because I'm not going to change to try to fit the norms of whatever company has decided that I need to be successful.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I love the fact that obviously that you're willing to push those boundaries and not willing to, hey, you are you. This is Desiree. And I'm sure sometimes it's a fine line to conform, to keep, right? How do I say this? To be on the right path in regards to making sure that you can still do the things that need to being asked for you, but at the same time not showing up in sweatpants. Per se, right? Going, there's time for sweatpants and there's not. I mean, so do you think, you said, talking about the innocent gas, being a woman, and then expressing yourself and being yourself, if we continue to break stereotypes and break those boundaries, and with time, like I said, it would become more and more accepted. What would you say to an individual that is looking at that, right? Going, hey, how do I be myself? But how do I advance in my career? How do you balance that?
I unfortunately can't tell anyone else how to be their self. Sure. But I'll give at least the high level things of or at least what, I don't know, because being yourself can also be yourself differently. I always tell people to how do you I personally think one of the best ways to be successful in a career, and I like to think this is everywhere, but I don't think it goes all the way. But as far as I know, building a network around you of people who support you, I think is one of the more powerful things that anyone can do.